What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Today we're going to talk about toxic white fathers. All right, because this white woman said that, white men are toxic fathers. And the thing is, I hear that a lot. Now I know there's all kind of toxic fathers, right? All kind of males who had children but are not fathers because they themselves are not fully complete male men. They're just boys, right? With adult bodies, right? I understand that, right? And I know there's toxic black fathers, toxic, Spanish and Asian. There's all kind of toxic fathers out here. But the main issue that I see with like racism, xenophobia, just the whole issues in the white community that affects the black community is, if you narrow it down, it's the white father. They're the ones who make sure that, well, I don't know if the white woman makes sure they go to church. In the black community, it was always the black woman who made sure the black husband go to church, at least the first couple times, and then he'll probably peter off or something, right? But in the white community, I think it's it's the white father that makes the family go to church, because that is where they're indoctrinated. That's where they take their family to reinforce white supremacy via Christianity. Right? And then they go home, and because they're told they need to dominate, and God said, is God and me the husband, and I get to dominate you, the wife, I get to dominate you, the kids. I am the ultimate authority. God said I'm the authority. And I think that white supremacy is manifests itself as the white father practicing white supremacy on their own family as the dominant premium white figure within the family unit. Right? And it seems to cause all kind of issues. And even some people, I grew up with, that white father, they always complained about their father. It was never anything good, right? And I know there are some white fathers who love their children, take care of their children, show them all the love and care. But it seems to be a theme that a lack of affection, right, that they receive. And I don't know what the white mothers are doing. Are they allowing it to happen or whatever? Like, I don't know, because in the black, family, usually, the black man and the black is always involved. We love our children, right? We, even there's some terrible ones who don't show up. Right, but when we are at least there, even the piece of crap ones that when they do show up for that 5 minutes, they at least show love and affection for 5 minutes, then they gone, right? But the ones that are there present, which are most black fathers, are present in their children's lives. Because you got to remember, a single mom doesn't mean that there's no father. It just means that, people kind of mix up single moms with a woman that's not married, right? So a single mom doesn't mean she's doing it by herself. It means that she's not married or attached to a man, because if that's the case, there's a lot of single fathers out here. Right, but usually a father doesn't say he's a single father unless the mother is either deceased or is really not in the child's life at all. Right, we don't say, we be like our baby mama, something like that. Right, but women like to say, I'm a single mom, because it brings a certain sense of clout and entitlement, whatever. You know what it is. But they ain't by themselves, right? Well, in the black community, but in the white community, they got a lot of single moms in the white community get abandoned by their white, because they do the same shit, right? Everybody, all men. Like, far as like sticking and moving and not taking responsibility, that's a thing all men do, right? So it's not inherently in anybody else's community, but it does seem like the ones that manage to either to get married via force by the church, because we know inside the middle of America, there's a lot of shit going on in the white community. Like all those states, they got like 90%, 80-something% white. White men take a lot of privileges with their white women, and the Asian women they purchase from overseas, right? And those few black women that make their way into the middle of white America somehow, right? They disappear in the ether of whiteness, right? Besides that, they have a lot of liberties with their white woman. And it seems like the children, when they get an opportunity to escape, man, they be telling some stories, because it's usually the children of these white men that talk about their trauma, right? If you look at all the daggone white males who decide to go air out their grievances with their AR-15 that their fathers usually bought for them, right? They go air out everything. It's because their father did something to them, or their father coerced them into it, or their father didn't show them no love, their father didn't connect with them, or it's always their father this, father that. White daughters traumatized by their white fathers, and some of them rebel and go get the blackest person they can find. They do that shit, which enrages the white father even further, right? Because she's doing it on purpose. Because women have the ability to move about this racial thing. They can switch teams at any moment, right? Because they're looking for the most viable genetic material, so their offspring could be successful in the future. So they'll get to where anybody that they're attracted to. That's what they do, right? And white men are supposed to stand ground because they're the ones who represent their, their race or their ethnicity, and they got to hold, tight, and they're the ones thinking about how do I pass along my genes. Well, these white women don't want to pass along these white male genes anymore. And it's not just a one-off, it's a whole bunch of them. There's a lot of them who are absolutely disgusted with white men. So if you're a white man, right, and you want to, continue on with your ethnic, your racial, whatever you want to call it, whiteness or Europeanness, right, wouldn't it behoove you to do the thing that your woman wants you to do in order for her to choose you, or be an attractive white man that have the attractive features that will attract a white woman? Because a lot of things that white men are doing are very unattractive to the white woman, especially a white woman who has so many options, right? So it's like detrimental to the white man to be this toxic, because that's just going to lead, as generation goes by, like every generation, there's going to be less and less white people. And right, so that extinction water is boiling on low, and it's getting hot, and there's a lot of people in denial, a lot of people in panic mode. But every generation, there's going to be lesser and lesser, to the point to where it's going to be so few of you, right? It's not going to be enough of you for any other group of people to care, because they won't care. Like, there's a lot of smaller ethnic groups out there that nobody talks about. They exist, and their lives matter, and their traumas matter, but no one talks about it because their population is so small, right? White folks eventually going to get to the point to where no one cares about their grievances because their population is going to be so small, they're going to be ineffective. And it doesn't matter how many rich white oligarchs y'all have, because they got to die at some point too, and their children rebel against them as well and go get them a black person or a Spanish person or Asian person. And that money that those white institutions and those white families accumulated will start to trickle into the black and Asian communities, at which usually that money was stolen from in one way or another. So there's no protection for yourself other than changing your behavior and your attitude within your communities, because if you don't, you're assuring your destruction. But anyway, we're going to see what because these white fathers, man, a lot of different social issues that everybody has to deal with boils down to the way the white father raises his family. And that's just the truth. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
The way that white men talk about black fathers is 100% projection, and here's why. A lot of white men like to pretend they're so superior to other races and other men, when in reality, a lot of white dads are either drug addicts or alcoholics, physically present but emotionally absent, or such intense workaholics they don't even know their children's birthdays. So really what I see this as a fundamental problem with the way that men are socialized to treat women and children as extensions of themselves, not necessarily as important. And so while the stereotype is that black men will have children and not stick around, the white men who do stick around, because trust me, there are plenty of absentee white fathers, they aren't necessarily caring for their kids' emotional or physical needs. And a physically present dad but emotionally absent one is very, very traumatic for a lot of kids. I mean, just look at the children of a lot of rich parents. They're absolute tyrants, and they themselves are drug addicts because they know in their hearts that their parents do not give a shit about them, especially their dads. And so if you want to talk about daddy issues, then we need to talk about all races that are neglecting their kids, because it's absolutely not just the stereotype of black men, it's for white men too.
All right, racists.
A lot of white men like to pretend they're so superior to other races and other men, when in reality, a lot of white dads are either drug addicts or alcoholics, physically present but emotionally absent, or such intense workaholics they don't even know their children's birthdays.
If you haven't seen Kylie Brewer's content yet, you should definitely give her a watch. She's another soul on a journey of decentering the parasitic behaviors that exist within our race. I, too, am a victim of a white father. And while I won't go into details, what I will say is that my dad was in my life. But it was as if he wasn't. White fathers are emotionally unavailable, and they only exist in a system of obligation. And they consider themselves great parents if you get to eat McDonald's every night, simply because they're workaholics. Their relationship with money is more fulfilling than a true connection with their children. They'd rather have something financial to brag about than to actually have a relationship with their offspring that they can brag about. The constant attack on black fathers is an admission that the white household is fully aware that the black household has been attacked. White men are aware that an unfair advantage was given by over-policing black men. White men are aware that they have been given the highest salaries and home loans that black men are denied of. And their true pride as parents is that they finally get to feel superior to the superior race. And they only feel tall next to Black Americans because they're aware that if the stakes were fair, the entire Anglo-American population would be poor. Their lifestyle would mirror that of the Native American reservations. So it's no wonder why everyone assumes all whites are racist. Well, because it's true, especially if they're proud to be white. This curse is nothing to be proud of. Well, thanks for watching. See you next time.
Straight white dudes are the #1 offenders of sexual violence against children in the United States. But if you don't want to believe me, maybe you'll believe your darling Tim Tebow.
The #1 offender type is biological fathers, but by far it is being done by middle-aged Caucasian men. Many, over half of them, college graduates. Many of them are educated, good jobs. This isn't just who we're thinking about. And I think that it is time that we call them out.
Interesting choice of words to use the word Caucasian instead of white. I'm sure he's not coached to do that. Now, Tim Tebow's actually been on Fox News to talk about this, and let's see if he's as specific as he was on that podcast.
People don't like it when I say this, but we have to tell the truth. We have to get accurate picture. The #1 offender is biological fathers. This isn't...
Whoop! Did you catch that? You kind of left out an important detail there, Tim. It's just interesting to me how when you're on a podcast, it's okay to talk about how white men are the biggest perpetrators of sexual violence against children, but when you're on Fox News, the largest media consumed by white men, all of a sudden you're not allowed to talk about that. So certainly you're not going to go on and talk about the importance of good men holding bad men accountable and how important it is to be honest about these problems so that we can properly solve them, right?
And men have to step up and stand up and be the men that we're called and created to be, to protect, not exploit. And it's going to start at the home.
Almost. Look, I know that Tim Tebow means well, and I know that his program has saved a lot of children, and it's put a lot of bad guys behind bars for a week or however long we sentence men who harm children in this country. But if we can't properly address this problem, if Tim can't properly call out the white men who are abusing children in this country, then you're just part of the problem that you're trying to solve, buddy. We have to be better. As men, we have to be better.
My dad is white, and I can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do.
Sorry, I'm going to fucking cry because
I can't do anything about that.
I hate that you had to go through that.
Thank you.
As somebody of white experience,
Thank you.
I know how bad it can be.
Thank you. But my mom is full on Asian. Like full.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
So,
When my dad died, I cheered because I said that's one less white man.
yeah.
That's how progressive I am.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I like talk about ally.
I said, get him out of here.
Get him out of here.
I said, take him away, Satan.
And that's kind of how it works, right? It's like if one white person dies and you say that, like a person of color kind of comes into the world.
Yeah. A diverse story gets elevated.
It's kind of like a spiritual experience.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, my white dad is died too.
Yeah.
So
How did that feel for you?
Ooh, I'm cis.
A very prominent sign that you have a toxic father is that he acts like he owns you, not only when you were a child, but maybe even as an adult. See, a toxic father tells you what to do instead of asking for what he wants. He demands and expects a lot from you. He uses anger, intimidation, and shame, or all three, to get you to do what he wants or stop you from doing things he doesn't want you to do. And as a child, you probably felt valued mostly or only for what you could do, instead of being valued and loved for being a person. And you might still feel obligated to do whatever your father wants today. But I want you to know the truth is, other than your spouse and kids or anyone you've made a commitment to, the only person you should feel obligated to is you. If you want to be free from feeling obligated to your parents, you might want to hit that follow button.
Oh, you don't get it. They're from a different time. They didn't have accountability back then. So they can't take accountability now. It's just not fair. It didn't exist back then.
Many daughters of toxic fathers can be caught up in what feels like perpetual cycles of dysfunctional dynamics with men because of that direct early influence of their father, like the father's moods, his inability to connect with you, how he saw you, how he didn't see you, how he treated women in general, and if he was a stranger to you.
Every accusation is a confession. I will not elaborate.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan.
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.